pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, could you start the roll call, please?
Michael Ball.
That's good.
That is really good.
Peter Levitt.
Steve Hall.
Pam Stiles?
Kathy Obelinas.
Terry Noyes will be joining us in a few minutes, and Sandy Wyatt is in the hospital and nothing really serious. We'll be out in a couple of days, and we all wish her well. Moving right along to policies. We have two policies that we brought back, one for a first read, one for a second. I'd just like to, before we look at the policies, I'd like to make a motion to approve both the first and second reading for policy number 1 and the second reading for policy number 2.
I'll second it.
Discussion, all those in favor?
I do discussion on it.
Okay, go
On the
ahead.
first one, for the video and audio surveillance, the new language where it says recordings may be viewed by the following persons only after expressly authorized by the superintendent. Can we have language in there that says that this is on a case-by-case basis as far as viewing the recordings? Specifically, I think the superintendent and the principal should basically have carte blanche to review those video. But after that, I think it should be, I don't think people should have a carte blanche to, oh, you know, hey, can I look at the video? And yes, you can, and now they are free to review any video at any time.
Yeah. And that was exactly the intent of why this was put in here,
Okay.
to ensure that whenever a video was viewed, that there was a purpose, we knew who was looking at it, so it was to really tighten the reins on
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So we think that language is good enough to,
This language came from the policy ECAF, which is surveillance on buses, and so I took the language right from that in here so we would mimic the same language.
okay. All right, as long as we think that's
I think
good enough and
because
it's
it has,
understood. that
yes, and
that's-
because it has to be authorized.
Okay.
So if you want to see the video, I want to know why, and it is by that occasion.
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
Mhm.
And nowhere in this policy is the school board addressed, the school board has a right to look at a video.
Correct.
Why is that?
Because the management of the staff is the job of the superintendent.
What if the issue is the actions of the superintendent? You can't have the superintendent unilaterally deciding whether or not who he or she reports to can view the video.
So do you want to add school board on there?
Please.
Okay.
I think if we're going to add the school board, that should be, that language should also state that it's expressly for
Yeah.
reviewing, because, you know, when,
I agree.
initially, when I came in here to do a walkthrough of the building, it was like, we're not allowed to make any kind of, you know, we can't be watching the teachers because it's not our job to do that. So I think if that language is in here,
Yeah.
then that's fair to say.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll get legal language specifically to the superintendent.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and so I make a motion that we table for the next meeting,
EAA. I'll second that.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
KCDR, discussion? Any concerns? Hearing none. There's a motion to accept the second reading and adoption of KCDR. Call the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. adopted. Okay, and now the fun stuff. Okay, we got a presentation. Yeah. And thanks for coming.
Good evening. I would like to introduce you to your very own ACS Spirit Squad. They're going to introduce themselves to you. We're missing one young lady tonight. She had a Christmas dinner with her family for grandparents who are leaving. So normally we have 6 girls. And just going down the line, we have Emily, Amelia, Jalen, Sienna, and Maya. And they wanted to tell you how they came about with the idea all by themselves and made this happen. So they have a little presentation prepared for you.
Would you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Mrs. Perry.
Thank you.
Jalen?
We decided to start the Spirit Squad because on the first soccer game at the beginning of the year, we were cheering for them and we thought it would be something fun to do. And when she gave the idea and we all thought it out, I went to my stepmom, who used to be a cheerleader, and got a bunch of information from her and how to solve problems and make solutions for problems.
And then we went to Mrs. Blackstone and convinced her to start this cheerleading squad, and we think this is a great experience to have something new to ACS. We're going to do a cheer for you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get you lined up. Do your spacing. Okay. In the face. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
S-U-C-C-E-S-S, that's the way you spell success. Do we win? The answer is yes. S-U-C-C-E-S-S.
Right.
That was really good.
So they have all kinds of cheers that they've learned, and they're still learning more. They have a full schedule. They'll be cheering for several more boys' games, both A and B. They're going to do both unified home games, and they'll also get a girls' game in there because the girls' game schedule is switching over to away games, but we're going to squeeze one of those in there too. And they've got a big pep rally coming up on January 6th in the afternoon.
Fantastic.
All right.
Wow, you'll be promised by the end.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Does somebody get a picture of that, even if it's with a camera?
Yeah,
Can you get a picture of them? Somebody got that?
Line up, we'll get your picture. I've got mine loaded out.
Mrs. Perry, I'll send you mine.
Hey, that's what I was saying.
Mrs. Perry,
I got
I'll send you mine because I
Okay,
took
you got
several.
one?
I'll take another one too.
Good. And take one with Mrs. Perry in the
Yeah.
squad, too.
Yes,
Absolutely. Here, Spirit. I'll stand behind you.
there we go. Nice. Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is always the most fun of the whole meeting. Goes downhill from here.
Did I blink?
They're good. I'll send it to Mrs. Perry.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
We're going to move on to housekeeping, and it's been suggested that the next meeting, January 9th, may not be the best time for a meeting, inasmuch as we have the Budget Committee hearing on the 11th, and we look forward to doing it the week after. And the only day that would not be appropriate would be Monday, that's Martin Luther King's birthday. It's hard to get anybody to show up on Friday, so our choices are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Does anybody have conflict or for Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday?
Tuesday would be a conflict, the 17th would be a conflict for me, 18th
Okay.
and 19th would be better.
Okay, the 18th or the 19th. I'm okay for any date.
Yeah, it's fine.
18th? That's a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Okay, Wednesday?
Terry?
Mm-hmm.
It's cold, right? The phone's cold.
I think there's a couple. Okay, you're saying when?
18th. January 18th, Wednesday.
That's fine.
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll, at the next meeting, we'll be posted at 5:30 here at the, okay?
Yes.
Okay, moving right along, let's take a look at the minutes of October 24th, please. Make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 24th. Is there a second?
I will second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed.
I'll abstain.
One abstention. Thank you. Next, make a motion to approve the minutes of November 14th, 2016.
Second?
Anybody have any issues? Hearing none. Call the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
One abstention.
One abstention. Thank you. Last minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes of December 6th, 2016.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passed. Public input? Keep it sweet, keep it short. Thank you. That's the way I like to hear it.
We got those girls back, they are still ready to do another hour.
Okay, going forward, information items, first enrollment. Currently at ACS, we have 475 students, which is down from 483 a year ago. And at Prospect Mountain, we have 261 students. Just purely as an observation, if you take out grade 8 and if you just replicate PK2, or the first, well, we had 16 students, and soon we're going to have, since it's full, another 16 students. It's entirely possible we will have no more than 426 students next year. Okay, that is a legitimate possibility, and at some time during the year, there has to be a discussion on a drop in enrollment from 475 to 426. Okay? Now's not the time to do that. We'll let the new board do that. If we didn't have pre-K, if we did not decide to have pre-K at all, this year we would only have 438 students, and next year we would only have 389 students. So these have to be serious discussions coming up. Okay? If anybody else has any observations, please feel free. Next is the financials. Statement dated 12/14/16. And the only significant change there is I saw it in regular education and salaries, and the answer to that is?
You had seen that the line, the very first line of salaries is
Yes.
over by 52,000.
Yes.
I said I had not made merit increase adjustments. I had done the default budget and all the increases and decreases to align what we wanted, but next board meeting I'll bring forward the merit, because there are certain line items of salaries that show negative just because of those merit increases.
Okay, excuse me. Before, let me see, financial, next comes reports. Alton School Board, let me bring people up to date on a couple things that have happened over the last week. The JMA Budget Committee has finished meeting and has recommended a number of cuts up at the high school. And the reason we're talking about it here, it affects the bottom line of our budget here. If that budget, the last budget I saw, which I got today, of the high school is approved by the Prospect Mountain School Board, which they have done in the past, is they have whenever possible, try to go along with the JMA Budget Committee request. You would be looking at a contribution at Alton Central School of $4,181,307, which is a 4.26% decrease from the previous year.
Say it again, 4 million.
$4,181,307. I believe our share this year is 0.5251%, 52.51%. I think I'm sure about the last two numbers. You know, but that means I'm probably wrong.
No. Just to let you know, what you're reading is not what Steve just announced. Steve has the preliminary number from the Joint Budget Committee. What I've handed to you is what the Prospect Mountain School Board had last approved. So that's the number. I go by the official number, and he's just giving you an update as to what the Joint Budget Committee.
So what's the difference?
Just Prospect's line.
$200,000?
It's, what did you figure it was? I didn't.
No, it's not
It's
that.
less
It's
than
not
that.
much. It ended up being something like 50 or 60 grand. The big thing that was cut at the JMA meeting was they were using $2.75 as the price for oil, and they may have come in at 2.31 or something like that, something more realistic. There was also some water testing and odds and ends, minor issues that were cut. But so what essentially is, we're looking at an approximate, and this, until everything's voted on, nothing's set in stone, an approximate total budget of $14,802,266, which is a decrease of 6.66%.
What is our percent this year, for this coming forward budget?
52.51%.
Oh, that's the new figure for next year.
That's correct.
What is this year's?
Let me grab my book.
That number will flip around in a couple of years.
I know.
There'll be more students from Barnstable.
Yeah, because they're not seeing a reduction in enrollment over there,
Mhm.
from what they've said.
And while she's getting that, they passed the warrant article, that they approved, the Budget Committee, JMA Budget Committee, approved, I believe, the $20,000 warrant article for Prospect Mountain for athletic maintenance.
Terry, I have this year's percentage, what we pay for the high school, it's 55.03%. So we're going from 55.03 down to 52.51.
It should be noted that, for instance, the Alton town rate is $14.15 per thousand. The local school rate is $6.66. Last year was $6.94. The year before that, it was $6.28. If my calculations are accurate, it's going to be less than $6.28. So essentially, 1, 2, 3, probably going back to a 4-year low in terms of the budget from the school. Yes, a function of enrollment, but also a function of costs going up, a function of we're still paying for this, brand new addition and everything of that nature. So anyways, that is as much, as much as I know on the budget. Now, in terms of the, we went over the collective bargaining agreement at the last meeting, so I won't go over that again. That's in the record. But you should know that we were at mediation at Prospect Mountain, and there was no agreement for a contract, and there will not be any fact finding. Therefore, the teachers are working at Prospect Mountain without a contract. I can only tell you that our last offer gave them a 4.8% raise. That's what it did. And we asked them to contribute only an additional 3% for our insurance. And that was flatly turned down. What they originally started with asking was closer to 10%, and their best offer was over 6%. So we're not close, we don't have a contract, we're only going to the voters with one collective bargaining agreement, which, quite frankly, will make it easier for the voters to decide. Okay? Mhm.
They will have a contract, it'll just be the status quo, so it'll be the last contract.
Yeah, it's evergreen.
They don't have a new contract.
Yeah, they don't have a new contract. In other words, they don't get an additional step and track, a moving
Right,
on
they
step
won't
and
get this
track.
step.
They won't
They'll
get a
get
step.
tracked, they won't get a step.
Correct. Okay? That was just bringing everybody up to date, and the reason I do it also is I bring it up for the record, so that it goes into the minutes, so just. Okay, next, the budget committee report, that's essentially what happened. Oh, at the last budget committee meeting, the Alton Budget Committee approved the operating budget as submitted from the school board and the school district, and also they approved the prospect. We didn't have the prospect number at that time, but they said that they would approve that number if we agreed to bring the same number that the JMA Budget Committee brought. That will be voted on officially
That's like
coming forward.
blackmail.
No, matter of fact, it worked out real well. There were only minor cuts. There were only very minor cuts with the JMA Budget Committee.
Okay, if I take this number, it's only $5,900 cut.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I'm not official. This
But
is
if
numbers.
you take the proposed budget that was put in there,
Yeah.
was $4,187,241. So if you deduct 4181307, it comes up to 5934.
That's what it is, that's what it is. I just don't, I don't remember exactly what that was.
You what?
I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah,
Is it?
that's nothing.
Okay, so then,
I would think that the board would be able to approve that,
I think so too.
yeah.
Also, the warrant articles were approved, and none were turned down from the Alton Budget Committee. Approved the Alton Central School warrant articles as well.
They approved all the prospect and the all ones.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
there was only one prospect and the rest were ours.
Yeah.
That's correct. And that includes the asbestos and that includes the boiler,
Awesome.
So that worked out really well. And I want to take a moment to thank Michael Ball for all his hard work.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and kind of setting the table. That it was pretty well done when I got there. Thank you.
It was a big group effort, so I won't steal the thunder.
Thank you.
But the responsibility does lie on your shoulders as the school board chair, school board budget committee liaison. So, yep, you are.
Did a
It's
nice
usually
job.
Thank you.
it's your responsibility. You did a wonderful job. Yes,
Thank
did.
you.
Next, is there a report from Mr. Ball, the volunteer coordinator?
So it was brought to my attention that our current volunteer coordinator doesn't get compensated for her time and services doing this job, which I guess has been the case for a handful of years or so since she took it over. So I just asked Pam, what essentially what if that was a stipend position or where kind of was it hung, and so I was just going to bring it to see if there's something.
I thought, my recollection was that the secretary always did it. What changed? I mean, I know you don't know all the history,
Yep.
but
There is a volunteer coordinator who has been doing the work. Chris might have a better handle on the history part of it. but there is a
Kathy,
designated
You must
volunteer.
remember.
I do know who did it prior to Angela Therian, yes,
Yeah,
and she
it
was a
a
secretary.
receptionist,
Right, but it wasn't part of her job description that I can recall. It was someone who offered their services to do
Oh, so
it.
she volunteered.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
Okay, so it's your recommendation that we consider a stipend for that position? Is that what you're saying?
I would, I guess I think it's something worth looking into. This is quite a number of hours involved with it from what I gather.
See, all those hours should be able to go towards volunteer hours. So anything that the person that's doing the volunteer coordinator wouldn't be able to put their hours in if they're getting paid for them. You follow what I mean? All her or his hours should be able to be applied to.
The Partners in Education Blue
the
Ribbon
part-
Award.
Right, I mean,
Correct.
when's the last time we got a blue ribbon award?
I don't know, I never knew we ever had
It's
it.
been a very long time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I-
that's something we're going to be doing this year. We
I
are
hope we're
pursuing
gonna-
that
that's
this year.
gonna be
We
a
are.
goal.
We are. And I've already spoken with the current coordinator about that. This is a list from the volunteer coordinator's manual that she put together about the responsibilities of the coordinator. I thought you might want to take a look at what the job entails.
I don't ever remember paying anybody to do it.
No,
It's always
and like
been
Mike said, it's
volunteer.
currently volunteer.
And I can say I haven't either, and I've been here,
Excuse me?
I haven't paid anyone for it
Yeah, I
in the
don't
last
remember that
14
being a
years.
stipend. It's a volunteer.
We'll wait, when as and if the superintendent brings it forward.
Okay.
You know, it's her decision whether she wants to pay somebody or not, and it's our decision whether or not we'll approve it.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds fine.
Okay. Next, committee appointments, what's that all about?
There were some committee appointments for the JMA that you had appointed. I believe you had appointed Terry as an alternate at
Oh,
JMA that you just
Thank
wanted to
you.
do as informational.
okay, let me, just for the record, as chairman, I have the authority to appoint an alternate in place so that we're always represented in the dual town for the Prospect Mountain SAU. So in my absence, I appointed Terry Noyes for that position. Next, we have the superintendent schools report.
Mhm. The annual audit that's conducted by Plotzik and Sanderson took place during the week of December 5th. Just an outstanding job by Kathy. The number of hours that it takes to prepare for this audit is really a credit to the detail that she puts in preparing our financials. And a couple of statements from the auditor in talking with her after everything was done was that Alton is such a pleasure to do, and it's the light at the end of the tunnel. Truly outstanding work, really, really well done. We should be very
You know,
proud.
We take it for granted.
Yes.
It's wonderful
Yes.
audit every time.
The true attention to detail, you don't know the number of reports that she's got to run, and knowing every single piece.
We do
We're very
know what
fortunate.
bad ones look like in other districts, so
Great job,
it's nice to know that we don't get that.
Thank you.
a great job.
Well done.
Thank
I
you.
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I had the opportunity to meet with Commissioner Barry last week, and I shared with her some of the details around the curriculum work that's taking place here in Alton, our focus on math to increase student achievement, upcoming plans for our proposed math initiative, the systemic change that's taking place centered around data collection and analysis to improve instruction, and the real dedication of our staff to embrace some new strategies and approaches. It was nice to hear Ginny say that she's heard about the good things that are taking place in Alton, and we go back a number of years, she and I, so it was good to share that news with her. Last Sunday, the school had a problem with a broken sprinkler head, which I know you are all aware of, but just wanted to thank the fire department and Chuck and his crew for the very quick response, for Chris getting right on the phone and giving me a ring. By the time I got here, they were well underway in cleaning everything up. They've reported damages to Kathy, and we're in the process of working with the insurance company. The damages were minimal, but a great job by the crew to take care of that. Plans for the strategic plan are moving along. As of today, there are 9 confirmed members of the committee, and I will be contacting some other community folks to get their involvement. Lynn Healy will be facilitating our process. Lynn has her MED in education from Harvard University and her CAGS from UNH. She was the Associate Executive Director of NELMS, where she received the James Garvin Distinguished Service Award, and was the Director of Professional Learning in Epping. She has worked with a number of schools, and I'm very pleased that she's going to be able to be with us.
What's the cost on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, it's going to be about $3,500, but I'm going to pay her by the meeting, so I think we'll be able to manage that well.
Yeah, because I didn't think we were gonna have a facilitator.
I think that's the best way to get all
I'd asked you about
voices.
that. You
Yep.
said no.
Well, I really want to take a very active role in the planning of the strategic plan, and I think I can do that better by not facilitating
I
and by
agree.
really,
I'm glad you
yeah.
decided to do this.
Oh, good, yes.
I just,
Yeah, I've thought
what
about
other
it.
people were available?
What's that?
Were there any other people available to do it, or?
I actually, I've met with 3 different consultants, and I think Lynn is the best fit for us.
Okay.
I think she shares the vision of what we want for an outcome, the best.
Okay.
But I did meet with 3 different ones.
Are you able to announce who the committee members are?
I can, right now, I can tell you the 9 that we have, sure. Chris and I are the 2 admins, Pam Forbes, Mike Majors, and Kara Forsyth from the staff, Terry and you from the school board, Steve. From the community, we have Anna Ransom and Sandy McDonald, who is an administrator at the DOE for the Bureau of Instructional Support and Student Assessment.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sandy's awesome.
Sandy is terrific.
And she
So,
lives in Alton.
and she does live in Alton, yes. I saw her the other day at one of our meetings and
Yes,
reached out to her.
The high school, yeah.
Excellent. Well, and she was excited.
Very good athlete.
So we've got 9, and I've got some calls out to 3 more folks to see if they're interested from the list that you had, and Steve and I went through them. So we're still looking for a few, but we've got a nice group so far.
You know, we spent last year listening to the community, we wanted to know what the plan was, what's the plan, what's the plan? So I'm a little disappointed we don't have more people that are worried about the plan, stepping forward.
It's been in the newspaper twice, it's gone
We've
home, it's,
advertised
oh,
for
absolutely.
diligence.
Yes, we have. And I'm making phone calls now, so
Okay.
we're trying, we're trying.
I'd just like to mention to Mr. Ball and Mr. Levitt that I am on it, but I have been on this before, and I've had that experience. And quite frankly, I don't know how much I can add, okay, other than what I've said before, but I'm happy to do it. But, you know, both you gentlemen have you know, a couple of years going forward. You know, and if you would like to be involved and take my place, you know, I wouldn't feel, you know,
Same with mine,
terrible
you know.
about that. You know,
I would be interested, actually.
would you like to take my place?
Yeah, if you're willing to give it up, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Consider it
Yeah, I
done.
wouldn't turn it down either.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with new blood on that, on that. Like I said, I've always had my say, you know, in
Right.
the planning sense.
Great.
Okay.
So our first meeting is Thursday, January 5th, from 6 to 8 o'clock, and that's going to be in Mike Major's room, and I'll be sending you a reminder email. The book talk group that we have, Classroom Instruction That Works, continues. Our discussions are around note-taking, modeling, providing cues and feedback, cooperative learning, all related to all of our content areas and grade levels. Dr. Syed, as a member of the group, sheds an important connection between technology and instruction, and it's a real pleasure to meet with this group after school just to talk about teaching and learning. It's a great group of staff. And during this holiday season, I had the privilege of going to the Life Skills Thanksgiving dinner and enjoy several concerts. It's elementary place is the best place to be at this time of the year. Great energy. And finally, just want to wish you all a very happy holiday season, a happy new year, a little something for you to take away with you
Yes,
during
thank
this
you.
holiday.
I see. Good. Will I dribble with this?
There you go. You can dribble with that.
I need a sippy cup.
Can I make one comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I went to the high school last week,
Mhm.
to the middle school and elementary concert. I was just amazed
Mm.
at the way the band sounded.
Isn't the band fabulous?
They are.
They are
Both.
phenomenal.
Both the
Yeah.
young one and the older
Yes.
one. I
Phenomenal.
have a granddaughter at each one of them, and I was just in awe.
They're outstanding. I heard them at Veterans Day. I was at the budget meeting
Oh,
for the
they
one at
played
the
them
high
at
school.
at
They
the
were,
concert.
they're phenomenal,
That's great.
really
Yeah.
It was
outstanding,
great.
outstanding, yeah.
Uh, That good news being said, principal's report.
Thank you.
Blackstone?
I have a few items, but I'll go through them as quickly as I can. I know it's hard for me. I've been able to visit, I've made a concerted effort to visit basketball practices, not just games, but to go to practices, because I think it's important to be able to see kids learning what they learn and to learn the drills and to see how the coaches work with the kids and to give some feedback to coaches sometimes about things that they do at their court that we need to bring into our school and vice versa. So I'm very proud about being able to see the kids at their practices. Another thing that's taken up a lot of time lately has been working with Chris Toy and Jill Spencer on the early release day we just had. They were the people that came in October for a full day. The early release day, I'll tell you, took probably more work than the full October day. And we're now looking at the feedback tickets that we got from people. They did some online and I did some manual, so we're figuring out what the full day in March is going to look like. So we're really moving forward with tech. The fulcrum is now not teachers using the tech, but it's technology in the students' hands. So you should be hearing more from your own children or neighbors or friends or family or reading in the Bayside or what are students doing with the technology, and that's a real big distinction I want to make. We've provided and the town has supported, and with Dr. Syed, we've really made everything we can is here. It's just how do we get it into the kids' hands. Last month you had asked for recognition and for some way to commemorate, Steve, about how to have the kids who have presented or are presenting monthly. And I've got a plaque, a big shield that's going to have monthly the kids' names, the engravings put on it. We'll take down a couple of things that are in the patio area, honor those in a different light. They won't be what you see when you first walk in the building. It'll be current with names of who has presented at each meeting. And it's big enough to last for a couple of years. So I think that'll offer the honor that you wanted to offer to those kids. Craigslist has the scoreboards. I want to broadcast this far and wide. There's a tight deadline, or not a tight deadline. Tight deadline is for me to get the names of who is here to get engraved on the plaque. I'm still looking at that bullet. Craigslist has 2 scoreboards. The antiquated scoreboards are available for sale. So check Craigslist if you're interested in the sentimentality of owning one of those. They're almost priceless, so see what you can do to get those. But do take a look in the gymnasium. I think a lot of people who are coming to basketball games are just happy, and they talk about the stage reflects. The stage is so nicely fixed, and the floor looks great. The new scoreboards look great. There's a lot going on in the gym behind the scenes with Chuck and his team really staying on top of how should that gym look for our visitors. Another thing, and it's because you all know I'm not athletic, but I really pay attention to the athletes. Since I'm not athletic, I like to learn as much as I can about them. We have something January 18th, and I don't like to talk about what's going to happen, but it takes this much work, and it's taking a lot of my time right now. We have a field trip to the high school with a supper here beforehand for all the basketball players, boys, girls, A, B, and unified. So they're going to be here after school, have some activities, then have a light supper that I get to cook, and it's my favorite because it's hot dogs on the grill, and the grill came to us from Abishan at a nice discount to be part of our school, what we have at school to use, and they're going to be able to see our teams against Laconia. They're going to be able to be there to watch the JV warm-ups, the games, and then to see a little bit of difference, how the high school kids warm up and what does the varsity team look like. So that's taking a lot of coordination with all the coaches and Mr. Perrin. I have mentioned before, and you know from last year as well as now, a big push that I have, or a big goal, is to have our grade 5 through 8 feel like they have proper background and training and some more ideas about professionalism with middle level students, grades 5 through 8. And I'm happy that a workshop proposal I gave has been accepted. So I present at NELMS, the annual conference in Rhode Island in March. And 4 teachers from here are also all signed up and reserved and approved to be part of the NELMS annual conference in Rhode Island in March. ACS students are going to make the centerpieces for the annual Scholar Leader Dinner, which is later in May, but we have to start pretty much in late January because we need 100 of them. So that'll be a design challenge almost for students here to be manufacturing those, but it's going to be great for the visibility for Alton to have that that representation at the big Scholar Leader Dinner. I'm also, I think you can imagine how sentimental and happy this is for me. The Amanda Woods has a piece of student art that's going to be the new stationery that I can use to send out my messages to people here. So I'm getting bids right now. It needs to be in color because it's that cool. It should be it should be in color, not black and white or blue and white. But that came from Amanda Woods working with students, knowing that I was looking for something to be ASC stationery from here. IEEE, which is International Electrical and Electronics Engineering Society, has offered us a $500 grant so that we can have what's called an augmented reality sandbox. You can Google that and look it up online. I can also send you photos. Mr. McDuff wanted to build one last year, and I got to tell you, it slayed me to adhere to what is best practice and say, it's so darn exciting, but it doesn't fit a standard right now. We have no plan for grade level use right now, and in fact, you're part-time, and I don't know when you're going to be able to use it right now. But it slayed me, because it's too cool for words when you see how these work. But this year, since he was full-time, he came back and said, can we do it? And the IEEE is interested in helping us make that a reality. There was a competition about getting these awards, and I will say we beat 11 other schools, and a neighboring school that shall remain nameless right now came in second, but their proposal was exciting enough that the organization also gave them $500. So I feel really proud that we really beat out some really exciting projects to get that money. They're very eager to work with us and be mentors with kids as the building project goes on, and they could offer advice by distance and using some of the technology that I know Naeem can set up for us. They can Skype, and they'll be in the classroom in many different ways. The gentleman who presented the award took a quick tour of the school and saw some things in other classrooms he was very impressed about. So we're very lucky there. And quickly back to art, Jasmine Gray and Amanda Woods have signed up to go together to Plymouth State University for the Integrating the Arts annual conference in January. They're doing some groundwork right now. As you can well imagine, they're not taking it lightly, and they're really looking at what is going on in classrooms in the way of art with an eye on how can we have some teachers getting some more training, and how rubrics that they use could also include kids earning points and credit in their big projects that included aspects of art and what are things the kids are learning in art class. So to have two teachers go together and be able to come back and affect all of our kids, since Amanda and Jasmine are truly K through 8 for Unified Arts teachers here. It was very rewarding that they wanted to go together. Those are my bulleted items for now.
Thank you. And I'm just curious if it's in motion or not. We have a focus on math in the upcoming year. Is there anything happening in terms of professional development?
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that. We have, in January, February, March, and April, a day devoted to math PD. So that's the biggest thing we have going on right now. Consultant coming in one day each of those months. But in the meantime, Denise, Pam, and I, the superintendent and I, have, after we know what these themes are and the specifics of those, we're intermittent between that meeting and then the next month's meeting. Mm-hmm. And then another exciting part of that is there will be a culminating activity. That's going to be a dinner. We're working with food service about that. And the superintendent and I from past lives know a couple of people in common. And I was just emailing her today. Susan Adams, for instance, from New Hampshire Public Television. For a long time, NHPTV has been ahead of other states' public televisions, except for KQED in San Francisco, but have been ahead of the curve for offering workshops in schools about math. So we've both been in schools that have had Susan come. So we have a common language of what should a math night feel like and look like, and our own Title I department here has done outstanding jobs with hands-on math activities. So we're modeling after our Title I, after things from NHPTV, and teacher-driven after these 4 months of workshops. What would a math showcase night look like for Joe Public, for parents, and for kids to, again, it'll be kids demonstrating things they knew or learned or are doing differently.
Glad to see you going forward.
Yes.
If you could bring us up to date at every meeting.
Oh, I'd love to.
What we're doing in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I personally don't do.
Well, and I had another bullet, but I really try and make it be what's happened instead of looking forward to what's happening. But we do have 2 math teachers going to Texas for the National Council Teachers of Mathematics conferences. Sarah Champagne from grade 5. Her certification is 5 through the middle school. So she was key in being chosen to go. And Chelsea Hawkins, grade 2. And she was essential because math is her vernacular. So I'm very, very proud and happy that both of those teachers are going. They will be spending time beforehand talking with, I point to Denise as if she was still here, but she was here as cheer squad tonight. Denise and the two of them will look carefully at what are you going to do while you're in Texas. You know, there are probably, 200 concurrent sessions at a national conference. So they're really going to look at what are the strands you're going to focus on. And additionally, there will be meetup tweets that they'll be participating in. Where are you going to go and meet people just like you? And my real goal would be to have them have some relationships with people that are about at the same stage as we could be in this area ideally, or who knows where these people could be that are ongoing for them as colleagues from that conference. So,
but one of the key pieces here as well is by sending these two to a national conference, it's what we get back. That when they return, it's meeting with vertical teams, it's meeting with teachers in the classroom, it's heightening our ability to do the math strategies and the pedagogy that's needed in the classroom. So we're sending them off as our teachers to come back and help heighten the way that we're teaching math, and that's a real benefit for our school.
It's really refreshing that you're showcasing and will continue to showcase, what our efforts in math is going to.
mm-hmm.
It is because we really have made a commitment, and we want the community to know that we're not kidding about this. About raising these scores, about raising the proficiencies, about making this building something special at, starting with math and then moving forward.
Well, since this feels more like a dialogue now than my bulleted list, I can also tell you if you were a fly on the wall this afternoon at today's faculty meeting, you might have enjoyed hearing me point out to people that the next photo montage, in the cafeteria there's 5 photos now. Each of those has a little story beneath it that tell what is this photo essay about. And I told them today that the next set of these 5 photos is all about math, and I said to please inform me when you have something going on about math in your classrooms so I can really be taking pictures to put together the next photo montage, that I really wanted one from each grade level grouping. Since 5 fits there in the space, it's really lovely to the eye. It's a nice balance to have 5 photographs, but it's really going to be each of the grade level groupings to have a math picture. So that was just today at about 3:05. That was an item I mentioned. Jen was there. She can attest to the fact she heard me say that. And I will also tell you it's another way. One of the things you had talked about was you wanted people in the region to think of us as a math school. And of all things, having a math focus, but being a place that people think of, associate with math. March 21st, we're hosting a math meet. And this is something that we've always gone to. For the recent past, we go. Well, they're coming here. It'll be about 150 people. Most of them are kids, but they bring their math coaches. So it's the competitive math meet in March. And I think that'll do wonders to have people say that we hosted one. And it's another thing we're working with food service. Since we go, our kids are fed, the kids get a light dinner, but I'm working with Sam. What could that meal look like? It's not going to be we went out and bought pizzas from Jack's, or somewhere, anywhere. It's not about going and buying pizzas and all hands on deck when carrying these boxes of pizzas. It's really, I want people to go back and say, wow, it was so different there. And Sam gets that picture. Like last year when I said, I want people to walk in this front door for a dinner we had and just say, I can't believe this is the school. And when he heard me talk about that, that's when he made build your own bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches. So people walked in and said, what school smells like bacon when you walk in? It was a really big, exciting treat. It was a beautiful dinner, very well taken, and it was just a beautiful meal. So I said to him, this is, 150 people. They go to all 4 corners. What's it going to be like when they come in and say, it wasn't, corrugated boxes with pizzas. No matter how good the pizzas are, we don't need to serve pizzas at Alton when we're hosting our first math meet in forever. So I do take it seriously, and Baysiders every other week do have the math piece in them. So
Exciting.
It's very exciting. It's on a platter. You told me what to do. I love it. It's wicked easy, Steve.
Moving on. I'm just going to highlight the building and grounds report. I'm not going to read the list of what's been done, which is long as you're on, but the SAU ramp resurfacing is ongoing. The gym floor resurfacing is going on, and we've had desk replacements in grades 7 and 8. And the rest is just everybody's working really hard.
Nicely put.
Before I go to correspondence, with the permission of the board, I'd like to skip to equipment disposal. Dr.
Saeed.
Dr. Saeed has a report for us, and I see there's a long list that we're getting rid of.
So you're running out of space in the school for 6 or 7 year old stuff. So there's some stuff which cannot be used anymore, but we thought that, at least we can put it out for sale, see if we can fetch some money. One of the things which I found very valuable is the telephone system that was replaced a few years ago. It's a link system which can fetch some money for the school as well. So I've included that also in the list. So the first computers that you see, these are 6 or 7 years old, these are Windows 8. They are sitting in the racks upstairs in a room. It's taking away the place. You might get somebody now rather than just holding on to them and not doing anything with them. So that's the goal to get rid of them.
And this is just a thought, and the end user may not even have the ability to pay for Wi-Fi. But if there are a number of children we have that are, I guess, dedicated as homeless. There are some that get free lunch, some that get partial lunch. And if it's at all possible to get these computers just in the hands of families that do not have computers in their house, even if it's a toy, I would love to see that.
Correct. So we can purpose build them for somebody who wants to use it. I discussed that with my team today. They are slow. They are very hardly to use in the classroom because they had Windows 8 on it. So in my past life, I've seen this Linux model, small little version that you can put on it. It works. You can have an internet on it. So we can, sort out and put that on it and pass it along. We will make every effort to make sure that they can be used if somebody can use it. Great, absolutely. Yeah. But this phone system seems like that might pull some money for us. We can use that for sure.
Great. That means, sir, maybe you can have an auction.
Buy a phone, get a scoreboard? Just saying.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we leave the disposal in the hands of, the administration. And now that we feel comfortable that every effort will be made to put them in hands of people who could not normally afford them. Okay?
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're in charge. We have next, and it's under correspondence, but the New Hampshire School Board Association is coming up with their resolution end of the year meeting, or beginning of the year meeting, because it's in January. And everybody has received a list of what the New Hampshire School Board Association supports, what they do not support. There's been some resolutions concerning kindergarten and pre-K that have been generated by Keene school system, or Plymouth school system, etc. And first of all, who is our representative to the New Hampshire School Board Association?
That's me.
Okay, that's you. What they do is they take a vote at this meeting on each individual resolution. What I'd like to do is, we generally go with whatever the New Hampshire School Board recommends, unless anybody here, suggests, something different. Does anybody here have a disagreement with the New Hampshire School Board's position? And I'm just going to bring this up as a thought. One of their proposals is to have a full-time kindergarten program and have it paid for by the state. Okay? There's another proposal is to have a part-time pre-K program and have that proposal paid for the state. There's also another proposal that we haven't had a building fund, we haven't been able to, for instance, decide we're gonna have a $4 million construction project. You apply to the state, and in the past, they've paid up to 40% of that. That hasn't happened since about 2009.
Building aid has gone
That's
right
good.
down.
Right down, okay? And I think, quite frankly, that the state should be chipping in as well. Because fortunately, Alton, we have the resources to do it ourselves. But there are small towns out in the sticks that will never in a million years be able to, afford $1 million to improve their buildings. And there should be a way for them to say, well, we're just unlucky, and there's also one more issue. It'll come to me. Because I know exactly where it
Was
is.
it the IDEA special ed funding?
That's not the one that I was thinking. So as an example, Mascoma, is looking to have the town, not the town, the state, pay for a full day pre-K. Let me just, I know what it was. The last one, which is really important, which I think is there's a resolution of, right now, the towns pay most of the retirement funds for the teachers and everybody else who is in the retirement system. And the way they're paying for it is through what is known as a defined benefit program. That says that we think the teachers, when they retire, should, and this is a hypothetical, should retire with 50% of their salary, until they die. As an example, that's defined benefit. This is the benefit, and now the state has to come up with ways to put enough money in there and hope the investments work, so that the money will be there when that teacher retires. The problem with that is, if there's not enough money in there, or if the investment lose money because it's mismanaged, they go to the town to pay for that defined benefit plan, okay? Which means they make the mistake, we pick up the mandate, and we have to cut the check for it. The other way to do it is through a defined contribution plan. A defined contribution plan says the teachers put in half, we put in half, and then when the teacher retires, that actuary determines how much money they get a month. If it's 50% of their salary because the investments work, great. If it's 80%, even better. If it's 20%, that's the way it is. But because there's no accountability, there's no accountability with a defined benefit plan, because the towns pick up the balance all the time, I personally feel that that's wrong. So there's a resolution in here to make it a defined contribution plan. Whatever Peter votes, he votes the wishes of the whole board. You may say, you may choose to say, I think they should have a defined benefit. I want to make sure that they're happy in retirement no matter what. I personally think they should have a defined contribution plan. So I would vote against that resolution if it was me personally, if I had, if I had the will of the school board, and say, we'll put in money, but you're going to have to manage it, better than you do. So that's the only one I really have a significant issue with.
Can I make a suggestion that we plan on having this on our agenda in January, because the meeting is until the 25th?
Yep.
That will give us all time to go over,
We'll go through each one. Okay.
specifically.
Yeah.
I was bringing it up today because
Yep.
it was going to be on January 9th, the meeting,
Yes,
and we would have had to decide today.
right. No,
Okay,
this will
but
work
at least
out
I got in my
perfect.
2 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else on that lengthy correspondence? Okay, next is public input. I'm sorry. Nope, it's not. It is professional development master plan. I'll turn this over to the superintendent.
Upon,
Copy of it, everybody?
everybody should have one in their packet.
Yep.
This was the master plan that was developed this past spring, and upon doing some investigating, it appears that the plan never made its way to the board for approval. So there are no significant changes to the plan that was in existence. It's been updated to reflect the change from No Child Left Behind to ESSA and to what the teachers have been using. But this is the plan that I know Principal Blackstone and last year's superintendent worked on with the committee, but it just didn't seem to get here for approval, so we need to do that.
Where did this come from? We didn't obviously write it ourselves.
The original document?
Yeah, this, in other words,
Yeah.
Who authored this document?
I don't know that I can tell you
Who
that
authored
from,
it? It was a committee.
yeah?
Well, let's-
There's a committee here.
Those people actually authored this document? Is that right, Chris?
That's what committees do.
No,
That-
you chaired the committee, or you were on the committee, right?
I was on the committee. Jen Katzborn was involved in the committee
Right.
because it was concurrent. The way the calendar worked last year, it was at the same time as another committee. And they also met they took assignments and did things in between the meetings and brought them back. The template, the actual one that they worked on last year was actually left over from a previous 3-year plan. And interestingly enough, there was a little Post-it that I kept near my desk, near my phone the whole time, because it was handwritten from the DOE, and it said, "This plan is outstanding, great work," to the group.
Okay.
That preceded us. So then when we came on board last year, there were some things that just needed updating, not changing, but updating.
Just updating.
And I don't know, I didn't give it a thought. I just did exactly what the superintendent told. There it went off to the state. I have the email I sent to Bill Ross saying, "Here you go, here it is, this is us." And then it came to light that I don't know what happened. But anyway, this is the updates. It was probably timely, and it's probably really good that it didn't, because it allowed us to come up to date with HQT terminology, ESSA terminology,
that's all.
NCLB terminology. Those things now are really where the plan needs to be, looking ahead for the duration that it stands right now.
I think it's professionally done.
Yeah, it's really nicely
I was
done.
just wondering if this was just taken off a template from
No.
another school
No.
or something
No.
like that, so I'm even more impressed with that. The only thing,
It's refined.
when I read this, and I read it as a layperson.
Yep,
you know,
well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be edubabble. It's supposed to be, even teachers at the end of a long, hard day can look at this and say, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how it works. This is all I got to do." Whatever you say in your head at the end of the day, you're supposed to know exactly what this document lays out for all of us.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
I don't see the accountability in here. I see ideas that you should do. I see what best practices are, right? But I don't see any accountability.
Checks and balances.
I don't see any, that somebody is accountable to improve their educational skills.
I think where you would find those kind of things would be in the teacher evaluation and the teacher observation plan. Because ultimately what this is, at the end of all this document, is all the teachers did their PD, they got there, they went to their conferences, workshops, they have 3 certs, so it's 70 hours here, 35 hours there, district hours, so forth and so on. At the end of all that, I've been working with them all along. What are your milestones? What are your goals? How are you working at your individual professional development plan, IPDIP we call it. So how are you doing with that? I do that all along. At the end of it, at the end of their 3-year cycle, I say, "Yep, you've done everything you said you were going to. Your hours are all in check. You've documented that you said you did what you were going to do. I have seen in your classrooms you got 10 hours credit for reading these 2 books. I've seen some evidence of where you've applied what you learned in those 2 books or what you and a colleague wanted to do after you read those 2 books." I essentially sign it and send it off to the superintendent saying, "Yep, these people are ready to be recertified. I can vouch for them." Then the superintendent I haven't done yet with Pam, but typically they spot check them, or they review them, or it takes 2 weeks, or it takes whatever, or they might call me back and say, well, this person has 3 certs. Are they equally balanced? Were all the hours where they needed to be for each of those 3 certs? So we have that kind of conversation about individuals. So the accountability is really at the end, where I say I've worked with these people X amount of time over X years, and it's valid that they've earned the recertification.
But in here, if you look at the vision,
Yep.
okay, or the statement of purpose, there's no expectations. You know, there's, for instance, if I look and I see a teacher at track 1, step 17, I have a problem with that. That doesn't compute in my brain that somebody spends 17 years, right, and doesn't move laterally at all. Now, I'm not saying that I want that expectation, you know, in there, but I am not, I'm not above seeing an expectation that, you know, in this school, for instance, that somebody after 10 years, I think it's reasonable to expect to have a master's degree, for instance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do understand what you're saying. I also understand that our lives have ebbs and flows, and there's times where it could take a person far longer than 10 years to earn that. There's also times where a person might say, well, financially, that's not where I'm going. I don't want an MEd. It's going to get me, after all is said and done, a raise of $1,000-something, and it cost about $17,000 to get an MEd.
And that's a gun for hire. That's all that is.
No, because you can also look at the other ways where we really honor what people are doing in professional development. I think the questions you're asking are extremely valid, but that's when you really see what people are saying in their own individual professional development plan. What are they setting out to do? So you have somebody who's taught grade X for 4 years. Now their new assignment is grade Y. They don't need a master's degree to go teach grade Y. They need to say, golly, in grade Y, that's a different developmental stage of reading. I'm going to go and maybe take a class or a series of workshops or do professional reading to learn how do I work with a 3rd grader instead of a 5th grader who's learning to read.
Chris, there are 5 states that if you don't have your master's in 10 years, you lose your certification.
I understand that, but
You just lost your job.
I get that, but Steve, that's also a DOE question. That's not for us. Let's look at Finland, where the expectation is you don't even student teach until after you're in your 1st semester of a master's program. I mean, that's a big deal, and I think Pam and I are very much on the same book and page about expecting just that other little bit. But I also, I really have a humanistic view, and there are people that say, well, what my family's doing right now, I'm looking at 2 kids going to college in 4 years, I can't do a capital outlay of $17,000 for a 3-year program to get a master's degree. So in a short, myopic view, I would rather take a person's zeal and passion and say, golly, you didn't know you had 2 students in the autism spectrum. Golly, here's what you can do right here, right now. You can go, you can do this thing, here's this workshop, here's something on brain development, and it's at Cambridge, Mass. I'd like to send you there and come back and see something that you're doing differently tomorrow with these kids, or in a week when you get back from the conference. That's every bit as important as saying, here's your long-term goal of earning a master's degree over time.
But the evaluation
That's where his
component
comments
and
come
the
in.
professional development plan go hand in hand. Because when Chris is working with a teacher who is lacking in some area, that is going to be found in the professional development plan that they're working on. She then encourages them, you might want to take this class, you might want to look here, you might want to explore this. That's how the expansion of education is going to happen for that teacher. And then they're evaluated based on, so it is a cycle as it should be. And that PD piece comes in with the evaluation of a teacher. And so they do work hand in hand. Can we mandate that? No. Can we encourage it and really ask our teachers to look beyond what they're doing and put them in that direction? Absolutely, just like we do when we have fine teachers who really should be in administration, and encourage them and nurture them to go in that direction. So yes, that's a great goal, and we want our teachers to be there, but these two go hand in hand.
They do, and also on that note, let's look at the concept, which is kind of an emerging concept, which is called teacher leaders. And that's when you say, what's a district goal? Well, a district goal would be to kind of bring us up to date with co-teaching, the co-teaching model. So taking a couple of teachers, sending them off to a national event we were lucky that it was in Boston, but, it was downtown Boston, sending them off to Boston for 4 days and coming back with the newest, the most current idea and research with Ann Benninghoff, who's a leader in co-teaching models. and being able to say, great, you went away for 4 days. That's as intensive as a seminar can be at a graduate level. Many of the Plymouth classes now are 3 weekends at Waterville Valley at a hotel. So we're giving teachers this very in-depth, very concentrated event, and it's almost more, I would argue it's more rigorous. Here you're going, here's a school initiative, you got to go do it, you got to come back, you got to share it, is far more difficult than I'm in a master's program, and this semester my course is on budgeting and finance, how to build a budget for a school administrator. Well, a teacher is doing that class, and that's wonderful and great. They're a little bit tired, they're studying hard, but they don't come back and take part in the budgeting process. So it's far more difficult to say, this is what I'm doing for 4 days, you sent me there, now how do I share my knowledge? So think of the rigorous part of it and the expectations when we're responding to your goals. That factors in, I think, as Pam said, that becomes part of the evaluation process, and what are you doing towards the school goals.
It's just all about raising the bar.
Oh, we all are.
We are.
Don't
Yeah.
mistake that by any
I'll say
means.
one bit, and that's for a conversation, at a later time.
Yeah, I know.
I have a question.
Please.
Should we update the board goals in this, or should we send the old ones?
These are from 2015, page 7. Mhm.
Well, 2 of them are the same. There's the math one is the number 2. The communication piece is there, and the first one's identical.
Mhm.
So
Can this be discussed at the strategic plan?
Yes,
Planning meeting?
yes.
And when all the stakeholders are in agreement,
Mhm.
right? Because we represent the community, we want what they want. You don't
Has
have
this
to
gone
bring it
into
to
the
us.
state yet?
No, not
It
yet.
hasn't. When does it have to be in? Yesterday.
Last spring. Yes. But what we can do, and the reason they were left in here, because these were the latest when these were done.
Right.
But I
understand
think that the best way is, we can submit this and then submit it with a change when we do the strategic planning.
Yeah.
Send it in with the strategic planning goals, because this will, in essence, have the same life as the strategic plan.
Right.
So instead of doing annual goals, let's just do it with the strategic planning goals.
Anybody else?
I think Bill Ross would like that.
Hearing none. Do you need us to adopt this now?
Yes, please.
Can I get a motion?
To approve the professional
Yeah.
plan, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
think we already had a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Public input, anybody
You're part
have
of it.
public input? Seeing none? Other business? Is there any other business?
I just have one very brief thing.
Yes.
We are done with our mass approval of policies. If you'd like to bring your policy booklets to the office,
They're not booklets.
books,
3-ring binder.
3-ring binders, excuse me, binders, to the office, Deb will update them for you, and she's going to have some time next week during the holiday break, so if you want to swing by and bring them, she'll get them all up to date for you and hand them back to you.
We still need
What
one.
are the hours of
Yeah.
both of you office next week?
It's going to be 8 to 3.
So that'll be the same here?
Yes, the school's going to be on their regular hours, is my understanding.
Oh, they're not gonna go 8 to 3?
That's not what I know. That's not what it seems to have been in the past. That it was
Oh, I
only
thought-
abbreviated over the summer from 8 to 3, that the rest of the year it was regular hours for the school.
Oh.
Okay, just for the record, with the board's approval, we're sending Sandy White to Wilson Flowers. No.
What happened to Sandy Ryan?
She's in the hospital till Wednesday.
She's in the hospital? Okay.
Okay. For the record, this is for the record for the minutes. The Budget Committee's public hearing for the school is on January 11, 2017, Alton Town Hall, 6:30 p.m. With serious business starting at 6:45. The first session, also known as the deliberative session, is on February 14th, 2017 at 1 p.m.
February 4th.
February 4th.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say 14.
Maybe I do need the last one. At 1 o'clock, February 4th, at 1 o'clock, at the Prospect Mountain High School Auditorium, and the snow date will be February 6th, 2017, at 7 p.m. Voting, the second session, also known as the voting session, where the town votes for school and town ballots, will be on March 14th, 2017, at Prospect Mountain High School, I believe. It doesn't say.
And the public hearing is the 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
I do not know where we're voting, but we're voting on March 14th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, there was a question?
I'm sorry. Did you say January 11th for the public hearing?
Correct.
Yeah.
At 6?
It starts at 6:30 and the school's portion is 6:45.
Okay, you always want that.
Thank you.
Okay, and is there any other business needs to be brought before the school board tonight? Not seeing any, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that.
I'll
Did you make
second
the
it.
motion?
I made the
I'll
motion.
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're done.
Done.
And it's